I'm his Big Bear Ron. Have you read The Age of Reason by Thomas Paine? In this video, I'm going to read a paragraph here and there from that book. Maybe it'll stimulate some ambition in you to go get the book and read it. I do not believe in the creed professed by the Jewish church, by the Roman church, by the Greek church, by the Turkish church, by the Protestant church, nor by any church that I know of. My own mind is my own church. The Word of God is the creation we behold, and it is in this Word which no human invention can counterfeit or alter, that God speaketh universally to man. It is only in the creation that all our ideas and conceptions of a Word of God can unite. The creation speaketh an universal language, independently of human speech or human language, multiplied and various as they may be. It is an ever-existing original, which every man can read. It cannot be forged, it cannot be counterfeited, it cannot be lost, it cannot be altered, it cannot be suppressed. It does not depend upon the will of man whether it shall be published or not. It publishes itself from one end of the earth to the other. It preaches to all nations and to all worlds, and this Word of God reveals to man all that is necessary for man to know of God. Later times have laid all the blame upon the Goths and the Vandals, but however unwilling the partisans of the Christian system may be to believe or to acknowledge it, it is nevertheless true that the age of ignorance commenced with the Christian system. There was more knowledge in the world before that period than for many centuries afterwards. And as to religious knowledge, the Christian system, as already said, was only another species of mythology, and the mythology to which it succeeded was a corruption of an ancient system of theism. It has been by rejecting the evidence that the Word or works of God in the creation afford to our senses, and the action of our reason upon that evidence, that so many wild and whimsical systems of faith and of religion have been fabricated and set up. There may be as many systems of religion that, so far from being morally bad, are in many respects morally good. But there can be but one that is true, and that one necessarily must, as it ever will, be in all things consistent with the ever-existing Word of God that we behold in His works. But such is the strange construction of the Christian system of faith that every evidence the heavens afford to man either directly contradicts it or renders it absurd. Having now extended the subject to a greater length than I first intended, I shall bring it to a close by abstracting a summary from the whole. First, that the idea or belief of a Word of God existing in print or in writing or in speech is inconsistent in itself for reasons already assigned. These reasons, among many others, are the want of a universal language, the mutability of language, the errors to which translations are subject, the possibility of totally suppressing such a word, the possibility of altering it, or of fabricating the whole and imposing it upon the world. Secondly, that the creation we behold is the real and ever-existing Word of God, in which we cannot be deceived. It proclaims His power, it demonstrates His wisdom, it manifests His goodness and beneficence. Thirdly, that the moral duty of man consists in imitating the moral goodness and beneficence of God, manifested in the creation toward all His creatures, that seeing as we daily do the goodness of God to all men, it is an example, calling upon all men to practice the same toward each other, and consequently that everything of persecution and revenge between man and everything of cruelty to animals is a violation of moral duty. People in general do not know what wickedness there is in this pretended Word of God. Brought up in habits of superstition, they take it for granted that the Bible is true and that it is good. They permit themselves not to doubt it, and they carry the ideas they form of the benevolence of the Almighty to the book, which they have been taught to believe was written by His authority. Good heavens, it is quite another thing. It is a book of lies, wickedness, and blasphemy. For what can be greater blasphemy than to ascribe the wickedness of man to the orders of the Almighty? Whenever we read the obscene stories, the voluptuous debaucheries, the cruel and torturous executions, the unrelenting vindictiveness with which more than half the Bible is filled, it would be more consistent that we call it the word of a demon than the Word of God. It is a history of wickedness that has served to corrupt and brutalize mankind. And for my part, I sincerely detest it, as I detest everything that is cruel. Thomas Paine wrote all those things in the 1790s. I have read from the 1993 copyrighted Outlet Book Company publication, The Age of Reason by Thomas Paine.